Got a lot going on. He never made one of those announcements with me in here.
And after Coach Malzahn, we will have some player availability here in the auditorium between now and about 12:45, 1 o'clock. So,
Thanks, Kurt.
thank you. Coach, whenever you're ready.
Okay, excited to start spring practice today. Our team's in a great spot. Had very good mat drills. We got some leaders stepping up. I know they're excited to be out there with their coaches. We have 3 goals going into spring, really pretty simple. Our number one goal is that our players have a great understanding of the base offense and defense. And, we're going to be very simple like we've been in the past. We just want to make sure that the players know the proper techniques, assignments, alignments, and everything that goes with that. So once we get done with spring and get in the summer, they can actually improve. Our second goal is to identify the strengths in all 3 phases. And so after spring ball, we'll identify those things and we'll get a plan to build around our strengths as far as fall goes with that. And then the last goal is just really simple. Each player improve. At the end of spring, I'm going to get with each position coach and ask them about each one of their guys. Did they improve from day 1 to day 15? So that's really the goals as far as that goes. A few player updates. Dion Mix is graduating. He is going to be a 5th-year transfer somewhere. Cameron Toney is also graduating. He doesn't know if he's going to do that avenue or not, but I would say this about both those young men. They were part of my first signing class as head coach. They're wonderful young men. They've done a great job their time here at Auburn. They got great families, and they're going to be very successful in life, and we'll miss both those guys. Markel Boston's no longer with our team. Darius Slayton had hernia surgery. He will be back after spring break for spring practice. Kyle Davis is taking care of some personal business. We expect him back by spring break with the team. Sean White is still recovering, from his broken arm. KJ Britt will also be out for spring. He had a procedure done on his leg. Brodarius Ham and Tayshawn Manning have both been cleared to participate in spring practice. I'm excited to get both those guys out there. They will be limited, and we'll just kind of see how things go with that. We've also hired 2 new GAs. Cole Weeks will be working with our offense. Charles Moore will be working with our defense. We also hired a new analyst in Brian Blackman. Very excited about Brian. I think he'll be an excellent college coach, and excited with him. But overall, I know Chip is excited to get out there with his offensive players. They've to show what they can do. And I know Kevin is excited to get out there with the defensive guys. They have a year under their belt with his system, so I know they're a lot farther ahead, and just really excited that we're going to get out there and have day 1 today. Questions?
You expect Sean to be out for the race?
We're going to see. He's done a few things with the trainers, and he's tried to throw some things, but we're going to make sure we're smart. The thing about Sean is we have a lot of information, about him, and he's a veteran guy, and so we're going to make sure he's healthy before we get rolling. Now he'll stay right there with Chip, and he'll make sure that he doesn't miss anything, and he'll be in all the meetings and all that. Yeah, starting out, there's 5 quarterbacks, and that's going to be the challenge, early on, to make sure to give all those guys reps so Chip can properly evaluate those guys. I know today we've got, 20 minutes of 7-on-7, and we got 10 minutes of 1-on-1. That'll be the first 2 days, really. So it'll give him a good chance to evaluate those guys. Obviously, you can't go through spring with 5 quarterbacks. You got to narrow things down. And I know that'll be part of his plan. But starting out, a lot of those guys will get opportunity, and which I think is a good thing. I mean, so I know he's excited to work with all the guys.
What are you looking for Jarrett to accomplish here over the course of 15 practices, not just this first 5 before spring break, but over the course of spring break?
Yeah, well, I think he's like everybody else. I mean, to improve, to get a good understanding of the offense, to evaluate him. But that goes for everybody out there, So he just happens to be, a new quarterback. But, all the guys, we want to, see what they can do and evaluate them and get a good understanding of the offense or the defense.
Will John be exclusively quarterback in spring?
He's going to start out at quarterback, and he'll get reps today and tomorrow at quarterback along with the other 4 guys. And then Sean will just kind of be watching and making sure that he doesn't get behind with everything. So, and Chip, in time, he'll narrow it down. He doesn't really have a timetable right now, but obviously he knows that you can't go through spring with 5 quarterbacks. So in the time that he feels comfortable and confident, that's when he'll narrow things down.
So John could change positions then?
John's open to helping the team, whatever. But we just felt strong that he start out and try to win the job at quarterback. So that's what we'll do.
Because Sean's out, does that mean you guys will want to give him a fair chance to keep that starting job and wait until you guys get to August to be able to have a healthy Sean?
Obviously we want to make sure that all positions we put the best player out there. So there's no timetable as far as naming really any position or quarterback, but we are sensitive to the fact that Sean's going to have a hard time going through spring. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Is it possible you think you could name a starting quarterback at the end of spring?
I doubt that. I doubt that very seriously. But at the same time, Chip will have a recommendation and we'll go from there.
Coach, what are you going to do at right tackle and left guard if both Roseanne and Lee?
Yeah, we're going to kind of go into the thing. First of all, Braden Smith's going to get some work at tackle. All right, that's probably where it needs to start. And, right tackle today. He'll be out there at right tackle. I mean, the great thing about Braden is he's a veteran guy. He can play anywhere, but he'll start out at right tackle. I know Mike Horton obviously played right guard. Markel Harrell will play left guard. Of course, we got Tyler Carr that can play either guard also. Darius James, obviously returning starter at left tackle, and I think he's in a good spot. He's had a very good offseason, got his body really looking good, and Prince Tegan, Prince Salmons, obviously, at tackle. And so, we got a lot of different options. I know Coach Hand is going to look at a lot of different things, especially the first 2 weeks, before we get to spring break. And then we'll kind of start narrowing things down. But at the same time, we're wanting guys to compete.
Is Austin going to remain at center?
Yes.
You mentioned some leaders are stepping up. Also, anybody you can mention, and also Markel Boston. He looked like he's a guy who could contribute. Anything particular why he left?
Really, it was me. He didn't meet our standards, so he's no longer with us because of that. Your question as far as leaders are concerned, Trey Matthews is one of our team leaders. He's a guy that really has emerged. Chandler Cox is one of our team leaders that really has emerged, not just, and I always look at team leaders, they're not just on their side of the ball, but have the ability to influence the whole team. Daniel Carlson's also one of those guys that, I know that's unusual for a kicker to be a team leader, but he's not your average kicker, and I think everybody in this room already knows that. But I really feel good about where we're at going to spring. Once you get to spring and you put the pads on specifically, usually a couple other guys could step up from a team leader standpoint too, and it doesn't always have to be an older guy. Sometimes it's younger guys, and we've got some younger guys that have performed very well on the field that have the ability to kind of take that next step.
Can you talk about your punting?
Yeah, punting, obviously Ian Shannon's got a chance to win that job, and I think he's in a really good spot mentally. He got a chance really to set back last year and gain experience. He got a couple reps, so that'll be a big factor that if he can wrap that job up in the spring. And Coach Horton's another guy that of course I'm excited that for him. I think he's going to do a great job with our special teams. Obviously he's been here for 4 years and been a big part of the special teams, and I think he'll do an excellent job leading that group.
As far as you and Chip go, I mean, did you guys have a summit at some point and say, hey, here's what I want to do, here's the things you want to do?
Well, we kind of talked about that even before he was hired. He's very familiar with what we've been successful with, and he's just going to add some bells and whistles and some flair to what we're doing. And I really expect our offense to start taking on his personality, but at the same time, he knows we have to run the football effectively. So we're going to keep what we've done very well, and he's going to add to it. And then, like I said, the passing game is really, he's a quarterback developer. Our goal is to be more balanced, and we needed that, really the last 2 years. And so we'll work very hard in the spring, to do that.
So you're saying the biggest change that we'll notice will be in the passing game probably?
Well, I mean, that's the plan. So we got to be more balanced, and we're going to do that. And we got, the great thing is we're in a good spot to do that with the fact that we got young receivers. Most of the receivers that played last year were freshmen or redshirt freshmen. They got a year under their belt, so we're really just hoping to take that next step in the spring in the passing game. We've had one of the better running games in our league, and obviously we want to keep our strengths.
Just where you at the tight end position with Larry Porter having never coached,
Mm-hmm.
the running backs coach his
Yeah.
entire career, and you saying in the preseason you wanted to emphasize that position a
Yeah.
little more.
Well, and I'll say this, Chip has a lot of experience emphasizing that position too, throwing to tight ends and all that. And, Larry's a guy that he's a football coach, and, he can coach any position. He's going to do a great job with that group. And, he's also in charge of our H-backs. So I'm really looking forward to watching that position develop during the spring. And so we got a good plan to get those guys more involved.
Just how do you look at the wide receiver spot with both Kyle and Darius out just for the short term? Just how does that shake up that position?
Well, the good thing is we got quite a bit of depth. You look at last year at this time, we didn't have a whole lot of wide receiver bodies because most of the guys that played were true freshmen coming in. But we do have more depth. We also have the ability to use our tight ends a little bit split out. I know Chip is planning on doing that. So we feel real good about our receiver depth, and I think we got plenty of them to develop in the spring.
You got three defensive backs coming off injury: Javon Myers, Jeremiah Denson, and Jamel Dean. If you could just update their status.
Yeah, Denson's been cleared. Javon will not go through spring, and Dean will not go through spring. But Denson's a guy that I'm excited about. I mean, obviously he went through a very tough injury. Everybody saw that. He is an outstanding young man. He's a tough guy. He's one of those savvy guys. As a true freshman, he played well. And so I'm very excited to watch him this spring, and I'm just glad he's back out there, in the middle of everything.
Is there a timetable for the other two?
It'll be after spring. Really most of these guys we feel like will be ready to go full speed by summer workout. So that's the plan.
And Paul James and Jontavius Johnson, Gus, for the defensive line, are they back and cleared? Or?
Yeah, Paul James will. Jontavius will be out for the spring also. And we expect him to be ready to go in June. But excited to watch Paul and let him do his thing.
You mentioned Kyle earlier. Is it like kind of a day-to-day thing, or is he out for the spring, Kyle Davis?
Well, he should be back here in the next week or two, but he's part of the team. He's taking care of some personal business. What's that? Stephen Davis Jr. is no longer with us.
How much, do you kind of want to temper expectations a little bit on Jarrett, because he is, maybe it's not totally new to him, but he's still got to learn the offense and everything.
Who's that?
Jarrett Stidham, just early in the spring, kind of bring him along slowly, or has he got enough experience?
Chip's going to throw them in there. He's going to throw all five of them in there, and like I said, we got enough things early, especially the first 2 days, to be able to evaluate them. So he gets a chance to evaluate them, throwing the football, making reads, communicating, and all that. And so I'd say it's probably a little bit more accelerated pace to evaluate the quarterbacks. So, the goal is after this first week that, Chip's got a good idea, at least of their talent and where they're at, from experience or a mental standpoint. So he can make some decisions to start repping just a handful of guys instead of five. So that's by design. But at the same time, he's coming this thing new, and he wants to give everybody a chance to compete, to win jobs. And so that's his approach.
With the changes on the coaching staff, is Scott Common going to have an off-field role, or?
Yeah, Coach Fountain right now is looking for an on-field job somewhere, and if he doesn't, he's going to get an analyst job. He'll be with the analyst role with us. So that's where he's at.
Woody Barrett been adjusting in year 2?
Well, Woody's, you can see his body starting to develop. He had a good off-season up to this point. I know he's excited. Anytime you are a highly recruited guy and you redshirt, it takes a little bit to get back in the flow, but, he knows he's competing now, and you can see a difference in him. And he did a good job, specifically in bowl prep when we scrimmaged and all that. So I know he's excited. He's worked really hard up this point, and I know Chip's ready to see what he can do too.
You mentioned Brian Blackman earlier as an analyst. How many analysts do you have, and how many do you expect you to have going into the year?
We right now, of course, like I said, I'm waiting on Scott. We do have one more analyst position open. I don't know when I'm going to fill it, and I don't know if I'm going to fill it. But we feel good about the guys we got.
How many would that be total? 2 guys?
What's that?
You got Brian, you might have Fountain.
Yeah, we've had 2 on each side of the ball, and then we've had 1 special team, so we've had a total of 5.
You've had a couple of departures there, guys, and Jeff and Rob are obviously guys who are really close to you, and Coach Brewer. Can you shed light into where they are now, where they're both?
Yeah, Rob is the athletic director at Cabot High School in Arkansas. That's where he's from. Really good job. Johnny's with Rhett up in Connecticut. Very excited for him. And Jeff is trying to get NFL, which has kind of been one of his goals, for a long time. All 3 of those guys were excellent workers. They're very smart football coaches and very good people, and really appreciate, their time with us.
At the beginning of your press conference, not to sound weird with this, but you sounded more like a head coach. You're saying, I'm going to get with every position coach, see how they evaluate everybody, get with Chip, evaluate this and that. How is your approach changing going into your 5th spring here? Because it certainly sounds like you've taken a different approach a little bit.
Yeah, of course, like I said before, I've got a lot of confidence in Chip. Obviously got a lot of confidence in Kevin. So, I'm looking forward to being the head coach, and I think we're in a good spot staff-wise. I think we're in a good spot player-wise, and so really just looking forward to getting out there in the spring and watching everybody do their job.
Did the staff or anybody visit with other coaching staffs during the off-season to trade ideas, look around?
Yeah, usually it's by group, by an offense or a defense or a special team. Sometimes it's by a position coach, but just always trying to better yourself.
What were some of those staffs?
I'm not telling.
Yeah, we talked about
Did anybody come here?
Hmm?
Did anybody come here to kind of try to pick your brain?
Every night, and I've said this kind of before, I've got my own little group that a lot of times that we share ideas with and all that, but, I'll leave that up to Kevin and leave that up to Chip, and leave that up to Tim. If they would like to visit with certain staff, I'm open to that, but, and I'll tell you when that happens, so.
Who's in the circle of trust then? You said you got your
No, I don't want to tell you that either.
It's on the record.
Well, I think you already know, probably, don't you? I mean,
You guys saw that it looked like the green jerseys for the strength and conditioning program were back. I think it's the first time since 2013.
no, we've done that every year, but I don't think they've always filmed everything, as far as that. So that may just be the marketing department, but we've continued to go the green jerseys, as far as that goes.
Give them a real talking to after this one.
What's that?
We'll take a few more.
Yeah, it's starting to go down it's starting to go down.
Soon they can win.
Defensively, any position change you're looking at this spring?
I think everything is pretty much intact, what you would expect. I do know there's some young guys that they'll probably mix and match, maybe corner with safety or something like that, but the older guys are pretty much set. And of course, that's a great thing, we got a defense coming back that has a lot of guys back, a lot of experience that were very successful, and just building upon that. And in our league, there's nothing like experience, especially quality experience has been successful. And when you look at our team, the thing that I'm excited about is we got a lot of experience back, really in all three phases, and we've got some successful experience too. So that's what exciting to me.
Byron Cowart moving inside, and if so, kind of what went into that?
Yeah, of course he did a little both, and he's still going to have the ability to do both. But he's a guy that I really think is looking forward to spring. He's got a little different mindset than he's had before, and I'm really looking forward to watching him, progress through spring.
Gus and Javon going to be welcome back to pro day?
I'm not going to talk about any player that's no longer with us. I'll just talk about the players that are with us.
I want to ask about Braden Smith. He's worked at right tackle before. I think in a Malzahn he's out there on the edge, if I'm not mistaken. How do you think he'll fit in at right tackle?
Yeah, well, Braden has played tackle some, in his career, and I think, obviously he's one of the best linemen I think overall in our league, and just how versatile he is will help our team, and it'll also help him at the next level too.